Hey everybody, Brian Tro coming to you from Mossy Creek Fly Fishing with your fly fishing forecast. The date for today is Tuesday, the 20th of February. So woke up to a chilly morning this morning. It was like 18 degrees out on Mossy Creek. Seems like it's going to be pretty seasonable for the next few days, maybe the rest of the week. And then perhaps another shot of rain later on Thursday night and Friday. So we continue to just get good storms. We had a little bit of snow this past weekend, rain coming in the next 4 or 5 days, so we're going to keep getting that much needed precipitation. So we're going to spend a little time today talking about brook trout fishing and hatches, okay? Because we were really close, and in some cases some bugs have already started to pop. All right, so we want to get you guys excited about fishing on the surface coming up, and the place to start is in the mountain streams. Our freestone brook trout streams. Brook trout are very opportunistic, and so when those very first mayflies begin to hatch, even if they aren't real big, even if they're not in huge numbers, the brook trout really cue into them after a long cold winter and not having a lot of food available to them. So towards the end of February, which is where we are, depending on the weather and depending on where you're fishing in the state, you can have opportunities to catch brook trout on dry flies. People have already been catching them for the last couple of weeks, maybe not the entire day, maybe in certain streams where the water temps are a little bit warmer than others. But our very first hatches you want to look for are our quills. Red quills, our blue duns. These are very small mayflies, like size 18s, some size 16s perhaps. And you can look for them in small numbers, like little swarms and stuff. In the afternoon hours, popping out of our brook trout streams. Our water to our east in the Blue Ridge, especially the east slope streams, the Conway and the Rapidan and the Rose and all those rivers, those tend to have these hatches start first. It's a little bit warmer water, and it's a little bit warmer temperatures on that side of the mountain. And so a lot of activity will start on the east side, then move to the west side, then move to our west to the Alleghenies, and then move to West Virginia. So even if a bug only hatches for, let's say, 3 or 4 weeks, depending on where you are, you can follow these hatches and extend the season of it. So quill gordons, for instance, typically will start hatching last week in February, first week in March on the eastern slopes of the Blue Ridge. They'll usually hatch for about 2 to 3 weeks. But if you move west, you can fish them for another 2 to 3 weeks, okay? And so that's why it's important for those of you who tie, or for people who are just kind of trying to figure out, like, hey, when can I start enjoying matching the hatch and fishing on the surface? The answer is, depends on where you are, and it also depends on our temperatures. So relatively mild this week. We'll see what the rest of February and beginning of March are. But if we have a really cold March, it can suppress these hatches and hold them back an extra week or two. You always need to be trying dry flies when you're up in the mountains. There are certain pools that just lend themselves well to dry fly fishing. For instance, if a trout lives in a pool that only averages like 3 feet of depth, and it's got a nice little wave train down the middle, and it's steady flowing, fish are almost always looking up, okay? Even in the dead of winter. So fishing a dry dropper is a good way to start in the morning. Some of your more traditional Catskill style dry flies, like a quill gordon that's sparsely tied, it may not support a nymph very well. So when you get started in the morning, if you want to do a dry dropper, you may want to start with like a wolf style pattern, something that's got a lot more feathers to it, got a lot more fluff to it, got a bigger tail. It can help support a nymph a little bit better. So start off with that dry dropper. As the temperatures start to warm up, if you see you're getting more and more action on the surface fly, you can cut that nymph right off, all right, and really enjoy dry fly fishing for the rest of the day. So be on the lookout for some of these bugs. We'll try and stay like a month ahead to let you all know what to be looking for. But the blue duns, the red quills, and then the quill gordons are going to be really important. Obviously, blue-wing olives are almost always around. But as soon as these bigger mayflies start to show up, the fish will key into them more than the tiny little blue wings, okay? They'll become less and less important to the fish. So get up in the mountain trout streams. The flows are fantastic. We've already had a lot of customers out enjoying catching fish on the surface. All right, so moving downhill, our larger delayed harvest streams are fishing quite well. Water flows are ideal. Most people are doing well with heavier nymphs, fish dead on the bottom. Stonefly nymphs, attractor patterns like blow torches, things like that have been working really well. You can always fish streamers on those larger streams as well. Good way to cover more water when you got a lot of water to cover. Swinging streamers, dangling streamers to these runs is important. And just like the mountain trout streams, if you have the ability to pick and choose your milder days or your days right ahead of a front, you're going to do better on those as well. Look for the state to be stocking all the delayed harvest streams in the next month at least one more time before the season rounds out in June. Remember, you have until June to enjoy those as catch and release fisheries. Spring creeks are doing well as well. Nymphs and streamers are still primarily what folks are catching them on. You know, it kind of seems a little backwards. The spring creeks remain warmer, and so people kind of think, oh, you should start getting more topwater activity on those earlier than the mountains. It's not really how it works. Some of them perhaps, but like Mossy, for example, the fish are highly selective. They can eat whatever they want whenever they want. There's so much more food in those limestone-rich streams that they don't have to swim 4 feet up to the surface and put themselves at risk to take a small mayfly. They've got huge sculpins and huge nymphs and stuff right in front of their face. So the spring creeks tend to be delayed for the good surface fishing. The big sulfur hatches, for example, that show up in April, that really kicks off good topwater fishing, consistent topwater fishing on our spring creeks, which then carries all through the summer and right through the fall. But they are not typically the first ones to have great, consistent topwater action. So still mostly subsurface on our spring creeks here in the valley, places like Buffalo Creek and Mossy Creek. You want to get down and be close to the bottom and pick your milder days and pick overcast days if you can. Thursday, Friday might be good with some rain coming in. All right, and that brings us to the rivers. Rivers have calmed down quite a bit for those of you who like musky fishing. Perfect water color, relatively warm water temps compared to normal this time of year. Remember, this time of year, as opposed to December and January, sun angle's getting higher. The sun is coming up, you know, a minute or two earlier each day, setting a minute or two later each day. As all that happens, you know, 50 degrees at the end of February is not the same as 50 degrees in December. It warms the water that much more, okay? Higher sun angles, longer amount of sun. So we're warming up. That's going to lead the fish to become more and more active. Our musky, for example, they're going to be looking to spawn in April. So the next like 4 weeks, they have really got to put on some weight and be eating a whole pile of suckers and chubs to be able to get that weight on that they need to make it through spawn. So be on the lookout for that. Get out there, work hard, work slow, fan casting, okay? Gridding the water out, all the stuff that you need, and then be ready when you get your one eat for the whole day. All right, so we've got a lot going on here at the shop. All of our spring orders are arriving. We've got some cool events coming up. We've got F3T coming up. We've got our open house coming up in April. So check out our calendar of events. Check out our emails coming through. But we've got all the new product for spring showing up every day here. The store is getting completely redone every day with new product. A lot of folks have been coming in and tying flies, kind of getting ready for dry fly season. So if you need some new places to fish this spring, or you need some help with any of your gear or where to go, give us a call, email us, or our favorite, stop in and see us. All right, have a great week. Get out there and enjoy this nice weather. Enjoy this weekend, and I'll see you all next week.